Hi, Marcia Nelson here. I'm doing video number 5 on motor skills in young children. At the end of the video, I'm going to teach 3 things that a lot of preschool kids need to learn. And one of those is how to jump up off the ground. One of those is catching. Some kids do not know these things. Many 4-year-olds cannot get off the ground. And the last thing is balancing. All of those are very important. All these skills are important because here's how the human develops. From the core outward, limbs, legs, so forth. Later, the other part of motor development, besides the large limbs and motor development, are the finer things in your toes and your hands and your fingers. And all of those skills are very necessary for success in school. So let me just start, let's go 6 months by 6 months for a minute. Basically, a young birth to 3/4 of a year old child will maintain their balance as you pick them up and have them in your arm. You'll see that their neck's gotten stronger and stronger, and they look around. And you want to have that balance, happening for at least 2 minutes. Not that they're very floppy afterwards, but at least you look for that in 2 minutes. The other thing is that I mentioned earlier in the second video, they get much more hand coordination, and they start to open some and learn that they're reaching and so forth, and then they finally retrieve things. So let's go to a year old. You'll see a child sitting in a high chair, for instance, starting to reach at some food, soft food, hopefully, and that they will put it into their mouth and start all that learning to eat, and they'll be putting toys in their mouth also, so you want to make sure you don't have little manipulates around that they might put in their mouth and swallow. The basic thing is that you'll see at a little over a year old that they'll transfer something from this hand to this hand. It can be little things, it can be bigger things. Definitely at this stage you can get out your pots and pans and have a soft little ball or any kind of little thing that they could drop down into that pot or pan. And the louder the merrier, because children love to have that feedback that, oh, I made that big sound, and they'll clank on the pans and pots. By a year and a half, children are definitely moving from a sitting position up to a standing position without any supports, without any hand from another person, without the chair nearby. They just can get up from a squat or sitting to a standing. Very important. They'll also by then start to intentionally propel, throw things. And that's always fun because that's when you know you can start playing with rolling and catching. And I'll show that at the end. At 2 years of age, a child will also maintain balance from this position down to a sitting position or a lying on the floor position. They won't have to have any aids to help them get down. So this is important to look for. Also at 2 years of age, they'll be very good at getting like little handles that are on puzzles and picking them out, and some start to try to put them back in. That's very important to look for. But definitely the pulling things out. And if you have one of those boxes that you put in the crossed form, how do we do that on the film? A round form or a block, you want to be playing with those things certainly at 2 years of age. At 3, they've already gotten from that crawling to walking, walking to running. And they will run with good balance at 3, at least 10, 11 feet. And they won't fall, they won't have any problems with that. You want to look that they have balance while running. And let's see what else. Oh yes, on an easel or at your table, you'll see that they are doing their circular forms with a crayon or pencil very easily, and linear lines, both up and down and crosswise. I want to mention that at least in the earlier stages, going on 2, you watch that they start, if you have chalk or any other kind of play crayons like that on a paper or on a sidewalk, that they go across their body. This is very important for later developing writing skills in school. So you want to see that they copy you up and down, that they go this way, and later on their own at 3, they'll be doing those circular motions and up and down lines on their own without any help or modeling. Let's go 4 years of age. You definitely see a child able, if you put down a piece of tape or a long scarf, that they can get on that and walk clearly with steady balance on that thing, left foot, then the right foot, then the left foot, then the right foot. They'll also be able to stack their blocks up to at least 8 or 9 blocks. So you don't play on the carpet, you play on something that's steady flat so that they get that feedback, oh, it hasn't fallen over. And later you can let them knock it over because they'll like that. 5 years of age, you definitely see hopping on one foot with no support, and I'll at least show you the balance part to learn before this. They'll fold paper. If you showed them something that needed to be done and then fold down with your hand to flatten it, they will learn that easily at that age. 6 and 7, you'll have lots of their skills develop because they're in school and they're getting to use all that fine motor. So first start developing the bigger body motions, and then the latter is, all the finer motor, perceptual motor, we call it. So you'll hear gross motor in a meeting, maybe, big motor, and littler, smaller, fine motor skills. Let's go to those 3 things I said I would teach because we're almost to 7 minutes. I'm reminding you that you want success with your children in school, and that's really important. I'm going to back out and show you how to teach jumping. If your child cannot get off the ground, what to do. You teach them to bend knees. They're learning body parts by then. They bend their knees, they get their bum, or whatever you call it, derriere, butt, whatever, down. They get their hands down. And then you say, we're a rocket ship, and we're going to blast off. 3, 2, 1, blast off. So you do it over and over and play with it. We're a rocket ship. We're going to blast off. Got it? That's how they learn jumping. A lot of children have not learned to get that whole body off the ground. Teaching very young ball skills, you get something very pliable and soft. This is a very soft ball. It has probably the need for more air, but it's good. You always get them to put their hands out and forearms out from their body, but not far away from their body, okay? And then you throw so that they have success, and you say, oh, you got it, now pull your arms in. And as they learn that, they're learning, oh, it's going from here to here, and they get it into their body. Pretty soon, remember, at 2, easily they're throwing, but not this big a thing usually, a smaller thing. If you have them around, they might be throwing those too. Because that's how they learn, is that you're providing these smaller and smaller things for them to play with. Okay, let's just learn balance. You just make sure there's nothing around that they're touching. You teach them to raise a leg. This is good for everybody my age and younger and older too, but you have to just learn that you can hold that a while. Very important. And then you do it on the other leg. So you turn around, you do the same thing, getting your foot off the ground. Some kids will hold it up high, some kids will hold it back, but let them do that because otherwise they will not learn hopping. And hopping is extremely important by the time they're getting to 5. So these are the things in motor skills. Next one will be on self-care, and the last video will be on social skills and behavioral issues that come up for parents when they think, well, maybe we need to change something with our discipline. Oh, I wanted to show you again my email in case you have questions. Happy to respond to anything you might be wondering about. Good. Pass the word. I'd like all parents to be able to know how to refer their children if they need it, and have questions answered. All right, see you later. Marcia Nelson, bye.